Hi everybody, John here. Hopefully I'm live and you can see me on the screen. Once again, I'm still quite new to this live streaming thing, so please bear with me as I try my best to animate, talk to you, do comments. But I'm back. So today we're going to follow on from last week's video where we drew the character on the screen who I called Frank, and we rigged him up in the timeline only. And we're going to follow on from that, and we're going to animate him in do a simple animation just to show you the rig and how it works in animation. Before we start again, I think it's really important to say that the way I animate is not the way to animate. So each animator might have a different way of using Harmony, and that's the joy of the software, really, that anybody can use it in the way they like it. It's so flexible and versatile. So if you want to try my way, feel free to, but if you do it a different way, that's absolutely fine as well. So we'll crack on. Now, the first thing I wanted to do was to just go through a few changes I've made to the rig, because after the stream last week, I had to play with the character and kind of tried to work out a few issues. The first thing was, in my version of Harmony, which is obviously Harmony 15 is premium, I was trying to do it in the timeline only without going to the node view, and I couldn't seem to add a cutter to a group within the timeline. So I checked it out while I was offline and found out that you can do it in the timeline. It's just that because I've got the premium version, I can't do it in the timeline, but you can if you've got the essentials or advanced version. So all you have to do is, if I just show you in the timeline, I'll bring it up. So down here you've got an example. So I've grouped things. So I've grouped all the parts of the eye. So if I open that up for you, you'll see that I've got all the eye there and I've grouped it. So if you are in Essentials or Advanced, you just highlight the ones you want and then you can right click on it like this and go to, there should be Group Selection, and it'll put it into a group. Once you've got the group in your timeline, you simply click on the group and then you'd go to your plus symbol, Effects, Add Cutter, and it will add a cutter to the group. But I can't do that in the premium version. I had to go over to the scary node view, which is over here, and do it manually in the node view, but you can do it in the timeline alone. Okay, so that's the sort of first thing. So you can add a cutter to certain sections, because what I really wanted to do for this character was to add, if I zoom in, a cutter to the face part. So I'll show you what I've done. So I've grouped all the face into one peg, and then what I'm going to do is I've added a cutter to the face. So now the cutter, apart from the nose, when you move the face up or down, left or right, it cuts everything apart from the nose. So I think that looks really cool, and that's all done in the timeline. So whatever version of Harmony you've got, you can do this in the timeline, and you can do that effect. I'll show you some animation with that in a minute. But I just want to go through my list of things that I've changed. So let's have a quick look before I forget. So yeah, I've added a cutter to the group. I've added a face peg. So beforehand I hadn't got everything pegged. They were all individual things like this. And then, stay there, phone. They were all individual parts, not linked in to this face group. So I've added that in. If I show you here, look, I've added down the bottom, if you can see that, Frank Face Master has been added at the top underneath the head master. So the head is still there, but I can also control the face as well, like so. So that's the first thing that I added. My phone's gone to sleep again. Oh yeah, so the next thing was I added some more hair, because I had only these little tiny bits of hair around here. But if I go to my drawing view, you'll see that I've got lots of extra hair around the top now, because it was just the bits in between there. So I added some extra hair, and what I'll do is I'll just show you why. So that if I go to the face, for example, and I pull that down now, you'll see that obviously because it's being cut, more is being shown as it comes down, and obviously when it goes up, it's the same thing, the hair disappears in the face. So you can do both. So if I was going to animate that, I could make him go up, bring his ears down a little bit, like that, for example. And it looks like he's looking up. And in the same way, I could do him looking down as well. So I added a bit more hair for that purpose. Oh, let's just redo that. Okay, and then what else have we got? Oh yes, I had a a peg on the eyelids. So I removed the peg because what was happening is when I was moving the eyelids weren't working with it. So what I've done is I've added, again, if I just lower this down, I got rid of the peg for the eyelid. So the eyelid is now under the same peg as the eye. So when I animate the eye layer, the eyelid, as you can see there, moves with it rather than separately, because otherwise you're having to animate two layers at the same time. Obviously, when you move the eye, you want the eyelid to come with it. So I've done that as well. And then one of the last few things. Oh, so that's right. Yes, I added the mat, so the cutter mat, and the outline of the head. If I take those first, hope you can see them down here. I've taken the mat and the head line and added them under the peg of the head for exactly the same reason as the eye. Because when I move the head, I want the mat and the line to move with me. I don't want them to move separately. Otherwise, things get all out of joint and all look a bit strange. So I've stuck them now all on the same one. So if I select the head and move it, the mat and the line move with it. So that was another little change. And then I don't think I did this, but I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd mention it anyway. But what I've done is I have added back a peg for the lower arm. So I was doing a little test animation earlier, and I wanted to make the hand look like it was coming forward a bit. So if I just show you. So I wanted it, so if I raised up the arm like it was coming forward towards the camera, you obviously need to do that without the hand, otherwise you'll make the hand smaller as well. So I've added in the peg for the lower arm. So if I just show you that on the timeline as well. So down here, I've got the lower arm, which has got its own peg, and then it's got like a lower arm master peg, which controls the lower arm and the hand. Also, you have to be more careful because you can actually now animate this by itself. So if you want the whole hand to move, you can make a mistake there. So make sure you go up the hierarchy to grab the whole lower arm if you want to move the hand as well. But that does give us flexibility now in our animation, so that if we want to just move the lower arm, we can do that, and it makes it look like his hand is coming up a bit like this, if you can see that on the screen. Hope that makes sense. And I think that's all the changes that I made for in between last week's video and this week's video. So I think we'll crack on with some animation. So it's going to be a really, really simple animation, nothing too scary. Hopefully be animating for about half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. And we're going to simply do a kind of basic jump, I think, is what we're going to do today. But to kind of make it a bit more fun, I thought we'd stick in a little kind of clockwork mouse coming across the floor. Frank's going to see it and then jump like he's scared and jump over the mouse. Okay, so I'm just going to save. So what I'll do first, I think we'll add a colour card just to give some background colour. So again, you can do that if you've got basic, advanced or premium. Just go to your little plus symbol and drop down colour card. These are really simple background colours. You can double click on it and you can change the colour if you want to. Up to you completely. I'm going to stick with white for now. I'm also going to add a camera. So I'm going to go to the plus and camera and add a peg to that. Like so. And then I'm just going to grab it and pull it out a bit. Whoop. Grab it by the corner, bring the camera out away from Frank so that he's in the camera shot. That will probably do. And then we'll move Frank into the middle just for now. So we're kind of getting our animation prepped and ready. What I think I would do as well is I'm going to stick a new drawing layer in. Oh, that's another colour card, don't want that. And I'm going to call this, let's call it line 2, because I've only got one line. Or guys, let's call it guide, that makes more sense. Add and close, and I'm just going to get the line tool and just do a kind of floor line for now. Let's see that. Make it a bit bigger. I go to tool properties, and I'm going to make that, take this like 10, and make it black. So, and I'm going to, that's basically the floor line, so that when he's doing a jump, or we're animating him, excuse me, we know where to centre him and stuff, so we can make little marks on that. and I'll turn it off at the end of the animation. Maybe we'll add a little shadow or something. Okay, so that's that. Give it a little save. So at the moment everything's on 1 frame. So we'll just extend out our timeline, and we're gonna let's go to 200, and we'll just extend this by going to the end frame and pressing F5. Takes out all of the drawing layers to the end. The color card is permanently there anyway, so that's fine. That's all we need for now. Okay, so our animation currently is obviously still, but lasts 200 frames. So I think we'll just quickly draw our little clockwork mouse. I'm not going to do anything too exciting, just a basic mouse, and then I'm going to tween it automatically across the screen, and then we'll try and do most of the kind of cool animation with Frank here. So let's again do another drawing layer. Go into, I'll call this mouse. Adding close, go to drawing layer. I've got my light table on, so up here on the thing, I forgot what it's called, this stuff up here, control panel thing, I don't know. There's a show light table thing, so you click on that and it shows you all the other drawing layers. So we want to get the rough size of the mouse to be what we want in line with Frank. So let's just do a let's sketch him out first. I'm going to do a very, very simple kind of little clockwork mouse. So one thing about live streaming and animating at the same time is that it slows down my computer, so everything takes, come on pencil, a little bit longer. But I must admit, my Mac that I'm using is an iMac 27-inch screen jobby. It's 11 years old, 12 years old, and I'm still using it every day for animation. So I'm pretty pleased with that, to be honest. So if you're there, say hello. It's always good to know. For some reason, on my live screen thing, it still doesn't say how many people are watching, which I find very strange. There definitely is people watching, but it never actually tells me how many people, which is slightly odd. It says watching now 0. So if you are there, let me know. So something like that would do. Little clockwork mouse. Just probably give it a wind-up thing, really. If I was going to do a proper animation, I'd probably do this key at the top here and actually animate that moving around. But just for this animation, I won't. Just to save a little bit of time. I will be, as I mentioned last week, I will be making this rig of this character available for free, and I'll put a link in the description of this video once it's uploaded and processed, once this is done. So do check out the rig if you want to have a go yourself. So what I'm going to do is, now I've done a little sketch, I'm just going to go over to my tool properties, highlight the whole lot, and then go flatten, just so the whole thing there is one image, because then I'm just going to draw over it in black. I'll do a bit of colouring. Come on, pencil, keep up with me. Oh, that's so much harder to draw while live streaming. Oh, come on, lag, 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 lag. Also, I've not got version 16 yet. This is still version 15. So if you've downloaded version 16 and you've had a go with it, do let me know what you think. I'm quite excited about getting stuck into version 16. I'm currently sort of in mid-project on my work that I do, so I haven't actually had a chance to download it and use it yet, because I like to make sure I start a project and finish a project in the same format or the same version, just to be sure there's no issues with compatibility and stuff. Oh, there's some serious lag issues here. Just very quickly finish off Mr. Mouse. And we can get into the serious animation. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm not sure it was quite as laggy last week. Maybe it's the drawing thing rather than the rigging that's the problem. I might have to look at my settings for next time. Okay, so that's my mouse. That will do. Now, because we flattened the blue, we can just click on it and get rid of almost all of the blue in one go. I mean, you could draw it on a separate layer and draw onto it, which I do most of the time for my characters. But just for this simple one, I'll just do that. Get rid of the blue bits at the top. I saw the news that Stan Lee had died this week, which is a real shame. Obviously, he was 95 years old, but obviously a true hero in the creative fields. So I'm sure he'll be greatly missed. Right, will that do? Let's get a little bit here. Such a perfectionist. Okay, let's do a little quick bit of colour. And normally I'd do a separate palette for each character or each item, but I'm not going to be too worried for this one, as it's only a quick one. And we'll make him a light brown mouse, just so he's easy to be seen on the screen. We've got a white background. And we better have the same tail colour and his nose, and we'll give him probably light grey wheels and that kind of thing. Okay, there we go. So that's our little mouse. Go back to our camera view. And obviously we need to add a peg for him. And then we will put in... Come on, mousey. It's a save. I had a crash last week during my live stream. We don't want another crash. So let's change his pivot point as well. So go to the rotate tool to change the pivot on the peg. I think we'll just stick it at the bottom, in between his wheels, make it nice and easy. And we'll get him to come along just in front of the line. So if I put him there, we'll take him over that way so we know his level, and he can walk. He can kind of come along. Frank will see him, jump over him as he goes past, and then land back where he comes from. So I think the best thing to do first of all is to kind of time out the mouse, and then we can get Frank to react to the mouse Muppets Cut, and go from there. I was going to try and find some sort of Samuel L. Jackson sound bites and stuff, but I thought, no, I'll go for something simple today. Okay, so how long do you reckon the mouse should last on the screen? What we'll do is we'll have a gap of 20 frames at the start where nothing happens. Let's stick a keyframe in there, and then let's go for about 120. I think that's going to be far too quick, but we'll just see what happens. Actually, not far away. That's not far. Let's push it out a little bit further to 140. Turn on our little camera window. So a little jump from Frank and then down again. That should do. Okay. I was pretty good with it. I'm pretty pleased with that guess. That was good. Okay, so let's turn off our window for now. So I think while we're waiting, we should probably do a pose. Let's start with our first pose for Frank. So I think maybe he's waiting. Let's go arms behind his back or something like that. So what we're going to do is make sure you click on the first frame of Frank and make sure it's all collapsed up. Hit F6, that puts the keyframe on every layer. So now we know that every single peg has got a layer on it. And now we can set our first pose. So let's do something like he's got his hands behind his back. So they're waiting outside a posh party or something. Yeah, I did do a kind of very quick test animation earlier just to make sure that I was happy with the rig, and I think most of it works okay. So I want it to be pretty even, like he's got his hands behind his back. But obviously we don't want his hands to be visible because that looks ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along to frame 2 and then do duplicate new or create a new drawing. It was a duplicate drawing, and then I'm going to go to my drawing layer, select it all and delete it. And the same with this hand, so duplicate the drawing. I can do it here actually rather than going to camera view. Select it and get rid of it. And then on the first frame, I'll go to my library. Apparently they've changed the frame selection, which could be interesting in the new version. And get rid of the hands, because obviously a bit like they're tucked in behind his back. But he's got such a thin waist and such big hands, we can't hide them naturally. So we have to pretend that they're there. Good old animation for you. So we'll save that. It's a bit like he's waiting. That might do for it as a starting pose. Okay, so let's have a look. The mouse starts to come in here. So I might just do a couple of blinks. So with the blinks, I've only currently got the one blink. If we look in our library, only one frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again create another, duplicate these drawings, and then I'm going to just go in and fill those completely. Find the lids colour, eyelids. So I've now got two pictures, so I'm going to change the second one to be the full blink. That's so. And I mean, I've always done it roughly that the half blink lasts one frame, a full blink lasts about 3 frames, and then he opens up to either full again or half. In this case, we'll do half, like he's a bit bored and he's kind of waiting. Something like that. So he just blinks for half a second, if that, quarter of a second. And now I'm going to get him to see the mouse. So he's going to just turn just his pupils, like it's just something's caught his eye. So I'm going to wait a few frames after his blink, and then I'm going to put another keyframe in. So we're going to do keyframe on 29, and then just very slowly I'm going to maybe 6 frames, do another keyframe, and we're going to get him to look down. So I want to just make sure I'm looking in the right place. Again, obviously his eyes have got cutters on. No, maybe they haven't actually. I'm not sure I did that for those. So is he actually looking at the mouse? Yeah, there we go. So he's going to look down at the mouse. And then maybe he's going to lift his eyebrows like he's a bit scared by it. So we're going to do that first. So again, we're going to put a couple of keyframes in. And you can, I'm doing it with stop motion keyframes turned off, so obviously it's tweening automatically in between. Some people prefer to do it with stop motion keyframes, so it doesn't do the tweening for you, or the interpolation. I've always called it tweening, from the old Flash days. So again, it's up to you how you prefer to do it. So I always do a keyframe at the start and the end of a motion, and then the start and the end I do a new one again. So this is the end of this sequence of movement. So I'm just going to lift up his eyebrows. And then maybe we're going to do another keyframe where his eyes are going to open. So I'm just duplicating the drawing and then deleting it. I'm doing it this way rather than just getting rid of the frame. That way there's always a frame inside or on the drawing layer. So he's not raise his eyebrows. And we could even, actually, if we want to, we could again take the eye and just lift up the eye a little bit as well. I would like it's going with the eyebrows. His eyeballs are going to be watching the mouth as it comes close, so probably about here we want him to start moving, so we will get his eyeballs to move and follow the mouse so that he's always sort of tracking it. So that's a bit too much, I think. We need to do a little bit less than that. Something's not right there. So, no, it's okay. Maybe what we'll do here as well is we will bring his head down a little bit. So we'll use that cutter on his face to make him look like he's looking down at the mouse a bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the whole thing down a little bit. That wasn't very good, and John, come on. I always like to work out how many, if I'm doing an ear for example, I always count in my head how many movements I'm making per ear so that I can mirror it on the other side. So, oh no, let's redo. That's fine. Redo. So this ear is to go back and this way a little bit, but up. That's too much, so it needs to come in a bit. I think I might move the face down a little bit more as well. So my aim really of this series is to kind of, or this little mini series of 2 videos, is just to show you that even in advanced or essentials, you can do some quite nice animation. That was quite cool. I'm not 100% sure about the ears. I might need to work on that a little bit. This one might need to come forward a bit, maybe. It actually look like he's turned his head a bit. Let's see if we... No, that's a bit off-putting. If you want to bring things forward and back in space, on a Mac you hold down Alt and then press down to come towards the camera or up to go away from the camera to bring them to and from the camera. So that's how I was bringing the ear there in front of the head. Is by using Alt and up or down. So I think, oh, let's get rid of that one. So we'll stick with that for now. Feels like this ear on this side should come in a bit more. Like he's twisting his head a bit. Just a nice subtle animation. So I think we're going to need to get him ready now to do his jump, because I think it's going to be quite a quick kind of skippy jump. So just to save, make sure I don't get a crash.
What do you think so far? Is this helpful? Do let me know in the comments if you are watching and finding this helpful. You could also, just so you know, the shirt, this sort of shirt bit here, this V shape, you could also add to a cutter. So when you're doing a body turn, I haven't done it for this rig, but you could do a body turn, obviously move that and it could cut by the body. So you could do it almost like a 360 turn with this body. And it's quite a simple character. So I would recommend putting in that into a cutter so that you've got more flexibility on the rig, so you can actually turn his body more as well. Actually, I probably should have done that, to be honest, because that's quite a simple thing to do, and actually adds a lot more flexibility to the character. And obviously, if I was doing this in premium, I'd obviously have transformers, not robots, deformers probably on the bodies, like a bending, that sort of thing. But like I said last time, I'm being a good boy, and I'm not doing anything that I can't do in essentials or advanced. Okay, so on to our next key pose then. So I'm going to first of all focus on just getting the pose right. So I'm forgetting about timing and that kind of thing for now. I'm just going to try and get the pose right. So I want him to go probably onto one leg. And normally I get to get off my desk here and actually act it out, but I'm a bit stuck, so I can't really do that. And then you wouldn't see me. So I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to add another keyframe here. And I'm going to work out where I want him to go. So I probably want him to lean away from the mouse, like he's going to bend, like he's a bit scared by it, and bend this leg. Again, you can use different ways of doing this. There's plenty of different styles. So just go with whatever you feel comfortable. It all depends on the way you animate, really, I suppose. So I want to get his foot down here, so that's why I'm using the line, so I can see where his foot should be and where it was. So I'm going to try and mark that in the same place, so we get a basic move of the body. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit. And this is where I'm going to do the arm. So what I would like to do really is to bring his arm out on this frame. Like, oh, see, this is what I'm talking about, the hand. I need to make sure I get the lower arm master. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that's straight. I'm going to select the lower arm and make that smaller, like so. And now I want to find his hand and bring the hand back into play. So here we go. So I'm going to find the frame when his arm starts to move, which is that one. Oh, I've done it on the wrong frame. Hang on. I've added another keyframe by accident, so let's just get rid of that. What have I added? Just the arm. Let's do that again. By making it square on the screen like this, you can then get a much better... Hang on, I've done it again, haven't I? I need that one first. That contains the hand. Right, now let's find the hand. Center on selection, find the hand, and then change that to the first one. I need to put that up here. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Woo. Where would this hand be? It's probably going to be, I reckon, the one leaning. So I reckon actually this hand should probably be
in front of the body. And this one should be the one that's leaning out. So let's just do that. And again, we need to sort the hand out. So let's just find him. So I'm thinking maybe, I mean, this is obviously quite a simple pose, but I think we might need to do a bit more extreme stuff. What I'm thinking is doing a nice slow kind of, oh, and then he goes boing, making quite a obvious jump, quite cartoony. What I might do is just bring that here a bit more. Also, with this frame, we have to put one with the arm where he pulls the arm out and then round. So we have to put an extra frame in later on, but just for now, we're just working on the key poses. So I want that to be probably about here. So we'll do this stop motion keyframes just for now. As the mouse comes in, we want that to be about there. So I'm going to go up to these two options here. So we've got motion keyframes and stop motion keyframes. So I'm just going to block out the time. And then we're going to do an even bigger squidge down about here. So like a nice slow and then a fast one and push, like he's about to push off. So his legs are a lot more bent. So to reset a peg keyframe, you just go select the frame you want and press R, and then make sure you're on the right one as well. And the same with this one, and it will push things back out to where they should be because I've made alterations on these. So I can push them back to where they were. So I now know that's the size that I actually designed them to be originally. No, that's not right. I should have done that on here. And then boing. And then so jump as it gets right to him. So let's just move this keyframe to here. This one can come along a bit, so it's going to get a bit lower and lower and lower. And there's a push off, and then we're going to do a really quick frame as he jumps onto the other foot. So what I love about animation is that it's just fun, and you can just experiment. Particularly with Toon Boom, there's not really any mistakes. You can just keep playing with it until you're happy with it. So he's going to jump with the other foot, and he's going to push off. Off with the floor there. And you can go back and you can think, and when you've done some animation and it looks completely wrong, you can go back and just change it, and that's fine. Some people like to do just the key poses, as in the arms, body, and legs first. Some people do everything they can, all the little details per frame. I just kind of mix it up, to be honest. I have no set formula of doing animation. I just do whatever I feel like at the time. I have no idea if that's right or wrong or not, but that's the way I enjoy doing it. So here, for example, obviously we want his head now to be probably looking down at the mouse, which is over here. Not quite there. I think we'll give him we'll change his mouth in a minute. We'll just do the jump first. So let's have a look at that. Whoa. And then obviously the next frame is going to be the impact frame. So we'll do the same amount of frames for this one. This is where we want the impact to be. So let's roughly work out. Obviously he's on the land with a bent leg, of course. And if I'd again done this properly, I'd have a toe as well. So I'd have a separate toe from the foot, so you can do a bend in the foot. I haven't got that on this rig, but again, feel free to add one. So let's take that foot there, and let's work out where he's going to land. I'm doing it on the wrong one again. So let's just do that. And then pop him down the floor. So let's just check the rough sort of distance of that. It's not quite far enough, I don't think. So we'll move him over there. Obviously this leg now is going to be up in the air, like he's stepping over the mouse. So we want this one to be up. And obviously then you kind of want, is it called your resolution frame? How it resolves. So you kind of, that's the impact. Then you want how he's going to finish pose at the end. So let's sort these arms out. I'm quite happy with these. So. And again, the face is going to be now over this way a bit more, as he's following the mouse around. What I might do a little bit as well is sort this nose out, because he should have slightly more tilt on his nose. This is where the breaking the nose into 3 parts comes in handy, because you can actually move each piece around separately, which again gives you lots and lots of flexibility when it comes to animating. I need a little bit of fiddling with, I think, because to make it look good. I probably want his head to be a bit more this way now, as he's looking in a slightly different direction. See, the mouse almost touches him, but he just manages to avoid it. Just want to save, make sure that doesn't disappear. Have some more of my cold tea. I'm British after all, I have to have a good cup of tea. And then we're going to bring him back to his normal position. Like the idea he's not moved at all. Like if he was, maybe he was the kind of bouncer or something or whatever, and he's going back to his fixed position at the end. So the final position will be him just carefully watching the mouse leave, like nothing's happened at all. So that would be quite a slow resolution. So put a keyframe in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the first keyframe, select that, paste that where that one was, use my... It's clearly not there, is it? That's not right, is it? Look. He's up here, so... Oh, that's weird. Something is tweening, but it shouldn't be tweening. There we go. And then we're going to match up the feet so that it's a bit like he's come and stamped it down again. Blink. Hello, Cat Attack! My first comment today. Someone is there. Yay! It's good to see. Thank you for your comment. I'm really, really pleased that these videos are helpful. That is why I do it. The amount of people that have said that they've learnt Toon Boom from watching my videos is the reason why I do it for, because it's so cool to share a little bit of what I know. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but it's good to share a little bit with what I know and help you guys create, hopefully, better animation, which is what it's all about. So we're going to have the resolution frame, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to probably go back into, if I find the face again, I'm going to find the face peg, pressing the wrong button there. So here it is. I'm going to find the previous one and copy that into there. Actually, what we could do, let's do that as well, it's fine. Copy those keyframes onto that one so that he's in the same head pose as he was when he was landing. And then he can carefully kind of look back up again. Wow, lots of new comments are coming in around all of a sudden. Yay! Hello, everybody. Some people are there. My thing still says that no one's watching, but clearly you are watching. So that is good to know some people are there watching this slightly mad video. It feels like the left ear here should pop out a bit when he gets to this position. Feels like it should come forward. Nope. Yeah, thanks everybody for your comments and your encouragement. I'm really pleased that these videos do help you. Like I said in the last video, some people just don't actually understand how long animation takes. Even when you do cutout puppet stuff, if you're doing proper key pose animation, it can take a long time. And I'm not sure people really truly appreciate just how long it can take. Again, I'm not by any means incredible at this, don't get me wrong. I mean, even though I've been doing it for 16 years or something, I've got a lot to learn still when it comes to animation. But I know I'm not too bad. I get really picky over things like the ears. It has to look right, otherwise I have to go back and fiddle with it until it's right. So there you go. So let's just go through the keyframes again. And then we start adding some. How long have I been animating for? Thank you for that question. I think I've just answered it, but I graduated from university with my degree in animation in 2003. So I've been animating really since about 2000. And I've been doing, and I set up my business in 2008. So a long time, really. So it's been like 18 years, 16 years, 18 years, something like that. And for the majority of that, I've used Toon Boom. So right back when it was Toon Boom Studio only, I ordered it from Canada and shipped it across and used it in 2002. So I've been using Toon Boom since then, and I've been animating ever since. And I think what we should do is his head should flick back up again, and his eyes should stay exactly watching the mouse. So let's just find that. And my business is called Tailormation. I produce Bible-based animation for children, and I've been doing that since 2008. All my videos you can watch on YouTube. It's youtube.com/tailormation. That's all of my actual finished animations that I do throughout the week. Tuesdays is my Mr. John Taylor day, and the rest of the week I spend doing Tailormation animation. So that's where you can find my work if you want to view it. But I do also do freelance animation as well. Obviously, if people come in and ask me to do animation, if I have the time and that sort of thing, I will definitely always take on a project if it's something that takes my interest. I try and focus on my videos for my business, but if I have the time and the project is fun, then I will take on a project. There we go. So, and then the mouse will just drift off, and his eyes will then move back up to where they were originally, like nothing's happened whatsoever. So we'll put a keyframe in there, and a keyframe in there. Yes, I'm 37 years old now, and so it's a bit strange that I still feel like I'm 17, to be honest. It feels exactly the same as it did when I was 17, 18. I still feel like the same kid that was at university all those years ago. And I have and I'm in no rush to grow up. I think being young at heart is the best way to go. So I'm going to be a big kid for as long as possible. But obviously a big kid who takes his life seriously and is obviously responsible for one's family, of course. But at the same time, having lots of fun doing what I love as much as I possibly can. But yes, it's a bit funny how time flies by and you feel exactly the same as you did when you were 18 and stuff. It's a bit weird, really. 37 years old. Oh, where's the time gone, eh? Getting my old man moan on now. That's the slightly strange thing, you see. I've never actually worked for an animation company. I've always done my own animation work, which is a slightly strange thing because I kind of, in some ways, feel I've missed out on the experience of working in a studio that's actually producing stuff for TV and that kind of thing. But anyway, so that's the basic timing. What do you think? I was going to move my legs. My leg has gone numb. How do you generally find your clients' jobs in order to stay working as a professional animator? That's a great question. I don't. I think I've just mentioned that again as well. I've never looked for animation work. If people come to me and ask me to do work, and it's something that I fancy doing, it's a project that excites me and I have the time to do it, I will take it on. Otherwise, I just focus on producing my own videos for my Tailormation channel, and that's what I've done. I started on doing DVDs 10 odd years ago. I then moved to YouTube 4 or 5 years ago, and ever since then I've been doing videos on YouTube pretty much solely, with the occasional freelance job sort of thrown in there when someone's asked me to do it. But I tend to focus on just doing my own work and trying to make a go of that, really. So I hope that answers your question, but thank you for that. So what do you think of the timing? Let me just save it and then we'll play it a few times. This is just a rough timing of the animation. What do you think of the key poses? Do let me know. There we go. So little mouse comes in. Let's turn on the camera view as well. So we can... Not too bad, is it? It's okay. What do you think? Let me know. I'm not. That'll probably be okay for me. I think that will do. So once you're happy with the key poses, you can go back in and tween it. Now you might have the answer to this problem, but I've never ever solved this issue. But when you do something like this, and you put the tweens back on, what you'll find is that the in between where the legs are, the legs will drop down, and I'll show you. It'll be easier to show you. So watch the legs. They'll actually that's not too bad. I'm quite pleased with that. Because normally what happens is the foot will drop under the line and come back up again, even though you're not actually moving it, because other parts of it, it's doing it a little bit. You see, I'm pointing at the screen, but obviously you can't see my finger. But you'll see the foot does come down, even though it's not particularly moving, which it looks like it's wobbling on the floor a little bit, which I've never really solved properly. Unless I go in, got a keyframe every single frame, and make it stay where I want it to be. But that's the let's watch the tweened version and get an idea of the timing. So I quite like his foot here to be above the mouse before the mouse comes to him, like he's putting his foot over it. So that's the keyframe there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring his leg up a little bit and maybe tuck this one in or something, just to try and get it above the mouse before the mouse comes. That's better. I mean, one thing you definitely can do is use this thing over here, which is the inverse kinematics. I've never really used it, but I know that if you do rig a character using it, you can put like a nail in his foot, and that will keep his foot or his arm or whatever area of the body it is in the same place all the time. So you can use those, but I've never done that. I've always just kind of faked and sort of my way through it really by keyframing everything. Again, here for example, when he lands, his foot goes right under the line and pops back up again. So we need to sort that out because that's not good. So there, you see it's gone far too low, even though the keyframes are there and there. In between, it's tweened him going in the middle. So what we need to do is unfortunately go through a keyframe at a time and change that. But I'm quite pleased with the actual animation. I think it looks quite good. We've lost his hands again, so let's sort the hands out. So it's on the next frame here, we want the hands to pop out. And this hand. What we really want is this arm, I think, to go behind the body. Whoops. So that when the hand pops out, it's actually behind. So we have to put a little extra keyframe in. I might use the whole arm. Let's just give it a test. We need to probably bring his arm out before it comes in front of his body. Yeah, it's not too bad. I can fiddle with that and make that a bit better. I think with this keyframe, if we bring this hand down a bit, maybe. on this one, we want, let's make sure the arms are behind. See, this is what I'm talking about, how I don't actually do things in any form of order whatsoever. I go through the animation. As I see something, I change it. It's not always the best way of doing it, but it's just the way I've done it over the years. That's better. So his arms don't come in front of the body at all there. And then maybe once he looks up, we'll give a little blink. Oh, it's 2 o'clock already. Oh my word! Wow, time is flying. Where's his eyelids gone? I know you're there somewhere. So I do one half closed, and then normally 3 frames closed, and then open again. Let's have another look. Do you tend to watch your animations like far too much like me? Watch it back over and over and over again. So let's try and sort out that leg issue, because that's bothering me quite a lot. So let's start with the central keyframe. So obviously the body itself, we don't want it to move because the body is fine. It's just fixing the placing of the foot. So we might just find doing something like that might be okay. It's still not perfect, so let's find it. Good. It is only me then. That's fine. My computer's getting very slow now. So we could go in and just do it every single frame, which is a bit dull. But as it's so quick, normally these things don't really stand out too much. He does slide a little bit, but see that one there particularly, he really does push down. See, his foot is nowhere near there. Let's try and find out where he's going to finish. Come on, grab it, grab it. There's so much lag, I can't actually select what I want to select. I'm trying to pull out the onion skin. Yay, right, okay. So let's find where we're going here. It's going to end over this way. Okay, that will probably do us for today. In the sense of that leg, I'm not going to spend hours on it for you because you don't really want to watch me doing that for too long. Well, that's a very good question. What kind of things would I look for wanting a good computer for animation? I was once called the Mac evangelist, so for me, I would always buy an Apple Mac. I know they're a lot more expensive, but I've had this one for over 11 years and I'm still using it today, and it's been well worth the money. I bought this one second hand as well from the Apple Store. So personally, it's an Apple Mac for me. But just basically look at the minimum requirements of Toon Boom if you're using Toon Boom, and make sure your computer is well above it. And then that way you should have no problem. Toon Boom is not a particularly hungry software anyway. Obviously, I'm streaming. I've got the internet going. I've got my software going. So it's taking a bit of a slog today. But normally, as long as you've got the basic requirements, which aren't massive, you should be okay with Toon Boom. So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of a. Let's sort this arm out here as well because we need to do that. I've just seen that as well. That's better. Right. I don't really know too much about computers in much depth, to be honest. I'm sure PCs are a lot better than they used to be, and I'm sure Macs probably aren't as good as they used to be anymore. But I've never ever had an issue with a PC, and I've got friends with a Mac, and I've got friends that have PCs, and I have to replace them every 4 or 5 years or something, or 2 or 3 years because they get slow and they break down. I've never had a crash, particularly, or any major happen ever. Never had a virus, all that sort of stuff with a Mac. So I personally still think they're worth the extra money. Okay, so we're not far away. Yeah, so what I wanted to do is add a little bit of sort of what's the word? What's this called? Ease in and ease out on some of the keyframes. So let's select that. This is all a bit confusing. But what we want is this one to be kind of to ease in, and then this one here to ease out. So look at that. I'm not happy with that arm either. See, I've seen that again. I'm not happy with it. So I'm going to bring it down so that it's actually moving it out and down. It's still not great. Okay. Is there anything you would change? Let me know if there's anything from seeing this that you would change. And I'll try and make it a bit better. His head's a bit sharp there, so we could always add the tween back in. Let's do a mouth change, shall we? Let's do a little mouth change. So I'm going to take the mouth, duplicate the drawing, open the drawing up, I'm going to use my polyline tool and just create another simple kind of mouth. We'll come back in and refine the points in a second. What size is this line? Because my line is currently a lot smaller. Go to Tool Properties and pull down, you can see maximum size is 10. So we want our line here to match the same. So it doesn't look different. So it's currently half the size, so let's change that. And let's just make it a bit smoother because it's looking a bit wibbly wobbly. I think we'll do that instead. Let's go for a new colour for the mouth. Just to fill that with something. Yeah, that's it on that one. He goes back to his normal mouth again and then looks up and blinks. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know what you think. Let's have another little look. Yeah, so as the frame finishes on around here, we'll cut the animation down to 140 by putting that little red toggle down. Let's stick it on loop a few times and have a little watch just to see if this really stands out. Okay, it's that arm for me. I think that's the thing that I'm most unhappy about. It's that arm, but sometimes you have to kind of save it, close it, come back to it in an hour or so, and watch it again, and then you might be able to see what it is. But there's something about that arm. When you pulls the arm out on the right hand of the screen, I think it comes out and then down. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe what we could do is bring this up a bit higher. So let's just have a look. So on this one. There's a double bounce there as well, so there's something a little bit weird here. I think it's this one. Let's get rid of this keyframe. Save. Okay, so I think we're going to call it a day on the actual animation. What I'll do though is I'll quickly add a little cheeky shadow, just to add a little bit of depth to the character. So this is the way I'd always do really simple shadows. Let me just save again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new drawing layer, and then I'm going to call it shadow. Thanks, Bean, for that. Hi, have you you intend to do a rigging tutorial on version 16? Yes, I will do a video very soon based on in version 16. But basically, the rigging is exactly the same right back from version 10. So if you watch any of my previous videos, the basic how to rig in Toon Boom is exactly the same, apart from a few extra add-ons. I have had a look through the additions to version 16, and there's not a huge amount change. I mean, there's obviously some really exciting things, but there's not really much change. So the actual rigging process is the same in 15 or 14 or 12 as it is in 16. So don't be too worried about it. So shadow, I'm going to go back to the shadow. I'm going to take an ellipse, and I'm just going to draw a little circle underneath him. And then I'm going to take the black colour, do a new one, double click on that, and then lower the alpha to, let's go for about 50. I'll just name that shadow so we don't get confused. And I'm then going to fill it with the shadow. And then delete the outline. And sometimes you can get away with it just like that. Let's turn our guide off. So you can play with it a little bit size-wise and get it to look a bit better. And you can also add a gradient, a Gaussian blur as well, or you can blur it using your effects. I won't do it in this video because my computer always crashes if I add a Gaussian blur. For some reason, it just doesn't like them, so I'm not going to do it now because then you'll end up seeing my desktop over and over and over again, which is not much fun for you guys. So what we'll do is we'll add that. So extend it to the same length as the video. Add a peg. Change the rotation, the pivot point. Put at the bottom. And then what we'll do is we'll just track him. So as he jumps, we'll keep the basic shadow the same. So he's going to leave the ground here. He gets to his high point there. And then he comes back down again over here. So what we'll do is we'll just, first, let's get rid of that one actually first, and we'll just track the final point. And then go back in and we'll make it slightly smaller, like so. And then the shadow follows him. It's just a very easy and quick way of adding a little shadow. And we could even add one on the mouse as well. So let's do that as well, as we've got a little mousey here. And then it's time for me to go soon, I think, and leave you people in peace. Shadow for mouse. So let's just find Mr. Mousey. Actually, saying that, what we could do with this one, let's forget that idea. We'll go into the mouse drawing. Turn off the light box. Where is he? There he is. And we'll just create a little shadow on the actual drawing layer. Like that. That will track him obviously automatically because it's on the same drawing layer. So there we go. I hope that's been really helpful to you. I've really enjoyed this live stream. Thank you for all your comments and all your questions. I do really hope these videos are helpful. I'm hoping to start a new series, which are going to be really short pre-recorded ones, looking at all the individual nodes in Harmony. So I'm hoping to release them on Fridays, and they'll be about 5 minutes long each, where I'll go through each individual node in the node view and show you what they do, explain what they're there for, and how to make the most of them. Go through some of the options and that kind of thing. So kind of like some sort of short little nuggets about the nodes. So I hope that sounds really exciting. I'm hoping to do the first one on this coming Friday, so watch out for that on my channel. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, and of course like this video if you haven't. And again, thanks for all your comments, thanks for tuning in, I really appreciate it, and I do hope that this has been helpful to you. And I'll be back next week with another live stream, and hopefully, yeah, a couple of videos about the different nodes that are available on Toon Boom. So thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, I'll be back soon with another video. And please do leave comments afterwards if you have any further questions, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. So yeah, I think that's it. So see you soon. Bye.